Imagine a pirate so powerful that she didn't fear the Chinese Empire. The empire feared her. A woman who commanded an armada larger than most nations. A woman whose laws were absolute. A woman who made the South China Sea bow to her name. This is the real story of the pirate queen who terrified China. Woman history almost forgot, but who once ruled the greatest pirate fleet the world has ever seen. Her name was Ching Shih. The early 19th century was a brutal time along the South China Sea. Merchants feared every wave. Villages prayed for safety, and governments were overwhelmed by corruption, war, and famine. Amid this chaos, piracy exploded. Hundreds of ships, thousands of outlaws, and among them, a woman who would rise higher than anyone could have ever expected. But Ching Shih didn't come from power. She began her life in a floating brothel, a place where women were forgotten, traded, and ignored. No one imagined she would become the most feared pirate in China. No one imagined she would become a legend. Her life changed when the infamous pirate Captain Zhang Yi selected her as his companion. Many thought she would remain in his shadow, a mere prize for a powerful man. They were wrong. She watched, she learned, she studied the alliances, the money, the strategy, the politics. She understood the business of piracy better than any man beside her. She wasn't just a partner, she was an apprentice, absorbing every detail of the vast, complex web of power that her husband had woven. When Zhang Yi died in a storm in 1807, the fleets expected chaos. They expected infighting, collapse, and the end of the Confederation. Instead, Ching Shih stepped forward. She didn't ask for power. She claimed it. The Pirate Confederation was a massive organization, a coalition of 6 color-coded fleets. The most powerful of these was the Red Flag Fleet, which now fell under Ching Shih's direct control. To grasp the scale of her operation, just think about this. At its peak, her fleet included over 600 ships and more than 70,000 pirates. She had spies planted all along the coast and maintained total control over trade in the South China Sea. This wasn't just a band of marauders, it was a state on the water, with Ching Shih as its undisputed ruler. Under her command, piracy wasn't chaos, it became an empire. She established a strict code of laws that were enforced without exception. No one was allowed to harm civilians without permission. All loot had to be registered and shared fairly among the crew. Whosoever disobeyed was punished severely, and perhaps most remarkably, women who were taken captive were to be protected, not abused. Her discipline was legendary. Her strategy was unmatched. Soon, she controlled the sea so completely that many merchant ships would surrender the moment they saw her flags on the horizon. There was no point in fighting. Resistance was futile. China's Qing dynasty considered her their greatest threat. They sent warships to destroy her. She burned them. They hired Portuguese and British navies to hunt her. She defeated them. The South China Sea became her personal domain. Even seasoned military commanders feared crossing her path. One admiral, in a moment of sheer honesty, wrote in his reports, "We do not chase her fleet chases us." The hunter had become the hunted, and the might of an empire was helpless against her. Never before and never again would a pirate queen rule with such absolute dominance. But Ching Shih's real strength wasn't just force, it was her mind. She created powerful alliances through strategic marriages and financial networks that bound the various pirate factions together. She built a structure that could withstand war, betrayal, and the constant pressure from the government. She used politics as skillfully as she used her cannons. She realized something that no pirate before her truly understood. You can rule forever with fear, but you can retire with power. When the Chinese government finally admitted they could not defeat her, they did the only thing they could. They offered her amnesty, a deal, a way out. Most pirates wouldn't trust a government that had spent years trying to kill them. The promises of politicians were as treacherous as the sea itself. But Ching Shih was different. She didn't send a representative. She went herself. She walked into the governor's palace, not as a surrendering criminal, but as a negotiating head of state. She secured a full pardon for herself and the vast majority of her followers. She was allowed to keep her immense fortune. She kept her prestige. She kept her life. The pirate queen walked away from her empire undefeated. She had fought the world's most powerful navies to a standstill and emerged not just alive but rich and free. She settled down, opened a gambling house, and lived a long, comfortable life. She died peacefully in 1844, an old woman surrounded by the wealth she had won. This was the story of Ching Shih, a pirate who conquered the seas and then went on to conquer fate itself. A woman who rose from nothing, built an empire, and then chose her own ending. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more tales of history's most fascinating figures. See you next time.